Hey brother, I just finished a very difficult workout and I had my camera in my car, so I figured I would talk to you. I was ruminating between sets and I was thinking about suffering, naturally. This workout is the most difficult workout of the week. I do it every week. Real quick, I want to mention that the documentary style videos that I make, the next video I upload will be one of those. And the title is going to be something along the lines of How to Attract Women, or the Keys to Attracting Women. And it's a bit of a douchey title, and that's on purpose. My goal is to attract some of the guys that consume the red pill community. It's my goal to give some useful insight and advice, but then also to have some deeper meaning in there. I think the red pill community is pretty devoid of any spirituality or depth. It's all very cerebral, very masculine cerebral, like men versus women kind of thing. And while they have some truth, you always want to consume the meat and spit out the bones. It's one of my favorite sayings. So anyway, back on topic. I was thinking about suffering between sets, and there's two types of suffering. There is the suffering that we choose, like in a very difficult workout where you're pushing yourself and it's terrible. David Goggins is the king of chosen suffering. And when you choose suffering often enough, when the second kind of suffering comes your way, which is the suffering that we don't choose, you're a little bit more prepared and more equipped to handle it. And then, another degree of preparing for that kind of suffering is meditation. Meditating on something like death. And I don't just mean your own death, but everyone we know will someday die. And so meditating on the people who are the most important in your life, could be your parents, could be your father, could be your mother, your best friend, your lover. And just imagining what it would be like to suddenly lose them and to immerse yourself in that and to feel that pain. And the purpose of that isn't just to hurt your own feelings or to wallow in negativity, but to take a step back and realize how ephemeral everything is and how this life is very impermanent. And when you understand that on a deep level, you actually start to enjoy the beauty all around you. You start to enjoy the good a lot more. And in this society, we have a pathological fear of any kind of pain. Even the thought of certain pain is painful. It terrifies us, and we don't want to think about it. Real quick, before I go any further, there's something I want to mention. Today's the 29th. Tomorrow is my birthday, which is when I'm going to post this video. It is also when I'm going to launch the men's community that I've been working on. If you're someone who wants accountability with reaching your goals or quitting pornography, if you desire a community of like-minded men who will push each other, then I want you to consider joining this community. It's not free, and that's on purpose. Oftentimes it takes a little bit of investment in order to fully commit to something, in order to be consistent with something. So I want you to consider that. At the very least, for my birthday, I want you to click on the link in the description and watch the introduction video. I think that community is very important for us mere mortals. There's certainly men out there who can thrive in solitude and grow. But when I think of my father, who took his life when I was 16, I feel pretty confident that if he had some kind of community where he could have been completely vulnerable and open and shared what was going on in his life, I think that could have ultimately prevented him doing what he did. So especially if you're in a very dark place and thoughts of self-deletion have gone through your mind, then click on the fucking link in the description. I've gotten so many comments and emails of guys who have told me that they've been on the edge and then they watched a video or two and it kind of helped pull them off the ledge. And I don't like that. So this community is a more hands-on thing. I'm going to be very active in it. I'll be talking to you guys every single day. There's also going to be courses in there that we're building. The first mini course that's in there right now is how I make these little videos. I go into grave detail on the gear, the setup, what I use to edit, all of it. I share all the secrets, so if you are a content creator or you want to be a content creator, check that out. That little course is in there, and that's just the beginning. Back on topic, there's a metaphor that I really love when it comes to suffering. Essentially, in the late 1980s, there was a project called the Biosphere 2. And in this scientific project, they were essentially building this ecosystem that emulated what it would be like to try to sustain life on another planet. And they had plants, and they were trying to grow trees, and they got very frustrated because the trees, they would only mature to a certain point, and then they would keep dying, and they had no idea why. They had all the nutrients, they had all the light that it needed, and then eventually they realized that these trees, they kept dying because it didn't have wind. It literally needed wind in order to build resistance and strength to be resilient enough to grow. The wind would cause the tree to develop something they called stress wood. It would also cause the roots to become stronger and to develop. Suffering and pain is the wind in our lives. It comes and goes. It's not there all the time. There will be certain times where you'll be hit with a fucking tornado. And I was hit with a tornado when I was 16 years old, and my father committed suicide out of nowhere. And it forced me to grow very quickly. It forced me to go within. It forced me to face death and all these things that a lot of people don't even really need to think about, because we live in such comfort in society, and we're sheltered from things like death, and we're sheltered from a lot of things that we weren't able to hide from in the early days of human beings. So that doesn't mean that you have to go looking for suffering. It will find you. But then that's where that first kind of suffering comes in, where doing really hard workouts. Some people do cold plunges, meditating on loss and death, and really putting yourself in it and allowing yourself to feel all of it. You'll be a little bit more prepared for when you have to face those things. Most people are very underprepared, and they immerse themselves in things like psychotropic drugs, pornography, junk food, anything to escape pain, because we're very soft in this day and age, and I'm not immune to that. I still have to put into perspective all the time that I could easily fall back into that kind of thing. But pain and suffering can absolutely be a gift. I want you to think of every single hero story ever. Every superhero. They would not be who they are. They would not have developed the strength, the empathy, or the ability to truly make an impact in this world if it wasn't for their suffering. And you have to be careful, because there's a very thin line between the hero and the villain. And that thin line is resentment and hatred. You want to be someone who transmutes the suffering and the pain in order to become better and help others become better. And this is where the idea of feeling your feelings and sitting with it all comes in. And you absolutely have to tap into your feminine. And I don't mean feminine in a negative way. That was a comment that I got from a lot of people. People were like, oh, like, why are you, saying it's feminine? Because it absolutely is. And we all have both feminine and masculine energy within us. And the feminine energy is what allows us to sit with everything, to heal, to go within. Carl Jung talks about the anima and the animus. And I believe the anima is the feminine nature within all men. So even if you're a very masculine man, you still have femininity within you. And you need to learn to harness that and tap into it. And that's where things like sitting with your feelings and healing and developing empathy comes in. And for women, same thing. There could be a very feminine woman. She needs to learn to tap into her animus. And that's the masculine within her. So we need elements of both. If you try to run from the feminine completely as a masculine man, then you're not going to be whole. You're not going to be able to fully integrate, and you're not going to be able to transmute the pain and the suffering into strength and into power. And these are deep topics, these are topics that I do wish I could have talked with other men about early on. But that's why I'm talking about it now. And we don't have to do this alone. So share this video with someone you think needs it. And I really want you to consider the community. I want you to get in there. I want you to get involved. I want you to share your struggles. I want you to share what your goals are, what your journey is so far. And I want us to grow together. And I think that that's part of my purpose. I'm not some guru who's miles and miles ahead of you, but I do feel called to bring us men together. The ones who are serious. The ones who are serious about self-actualizing and becoming the best version of themselves. It's not an easy road, and if that's something that you desire and you feel called to, then you're like 5% of the population right now, because a lot of men and a lot of people are perfectly content numbing themselves, partaking in psychotropic drugs, and they don't even try. They don't even try to face the inner turmoil. And if these are the kinds of things that you think about and you find yourself ruminating about these things, then you're here for a reason. You're watching this video for a reason. It's wild. I'm going to be 36 today. I don't feel 36. Honestly, I think a huge part of that is the fact that I take care of myself. I eat a ton of vegetables. I work out every day. And I feel 21. I feel amazing. I feel very grateful to be alive. Grateful to be able to connect with you guys and make these videos. That's all I got for you tonight. You are loved. You matter. And you've barely scratched the surface of what you're capable of. Happy New Year. I'll talk to you soon.